The most popular red meat in India is goat meat. Hi, I'm Sharmi and today I'm sharing my easy goat curry recipe. If you find goat meat gamey or you are new to goat meat, this will be the perfect recipe for you. In this video, I will give you some tips to remove the gamey flavor and cook a delicious, rich and tender goat curry. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and also press the notification icon. It doesn't cost you anything, but it will really help me out. Now, let's talk about the goat meat. I'm using 1 kilo of goat meat. These are bone-in pieces of goat legs, but you can use any cuts of goat meat for this curry. I prefer bone-in pieces because they turn out more flavorful, but if you're using boneless, it's perfectly fine. Now, let's talk about the gaminess. If you're not used to goat meat, you might find it more gamier than lamb. But I think it depends on the cuisine and the way you're cooking. In India, goat meat is preferred over lamb, and some people find lamb meat more gamey. Goat meat is the preferred choice for dishes like biryanis or curries. If you're looking for an easy lamb curry, check out my lamb curry recipe. Link is in the description below. Goat meat is leaner than lamb and it has a earthy, robust and sweeter flavor. The key to cooking goat meat is low and slow. But you can also grill the ribs, loin and the tenderloins. So, this is what you can do to reduce the gaminess of the goat meat. Trim the outer fat layer from the meat. Removing the fat will tone down the gaminess and it will also make the curry less oily. My meat has already been trimmed. You can also soak the meat in buttermilk for a few hours. It will also help tenderize the meat. You can also wash the meat with 50-50 mix of water and vinegar. But I'm not doing any of this today. My preferred method is to use yogurt for marination. I'm using half cup of this plain yogurt. If you marinate with yogurt overnight, it will really reduce the gaminess, infuse the spices into the meat, tenderize the meat and also add a creaminess and tartness to the curry. Before we marinate the meat, let's talk about the ingredients. For whole spices, I'm using 5 teaspoon coriander seeds, 2 teaspoon cumin seeds, 1 teaspoon black pepper, 2 spicy whole red chilies and 2 Kashmiri red chilies, 1 inch of cinnamon, 5 green cardamom, 5 cloves and 1 mace flower, which is optional. We will toast these whole spices slightly. We are not completely roasting them. We just want to dry them and make them crunchy. Now let's grind them into a fine powder. To make this recipe easier, you can replace these whole spices with 1 tablespoon coriander powder, 1 teaspoon cumin powder, 1 tablespoon Kashmiri red chili powder, 1 teaspoon garam masala and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Our spice powder is ready. Now let's marinate the meat. For the marination we need our ground spices which we have just made, 2 tablespoons of ginger garlic paste, half a teaspoon of turmeric, half an onion which I have chopped. You can also grate them. This will help to tenderize the meat. You can also use raw papaya which is a natural tenderizer, and half a cup of yogurt which we have talked about before. Whisk the yogurt and add it to the meat and the rest of the ingredients. And salt, I'm using 1 teaspoon. I forgot to mention it before. I will add a teaspoon of oil. Mix them well and make sure every piece of meat coated nicely with the marinade. As I said before, it's best to marinate it overnight. Today I'm going to just marinate it for an hour. But if you are in a hurry, you can also cook this immediately. While my meat is marinating, let's talk about the ingredients for the curry. For the curry, we need 2 to 3 medium to large onions, 2 bay leaves, 2 teaspoons of Kashmiri red chili powder, but you can also use paprika, half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, 1 teaspoon of sugar and pinch of nutmeg, which is completely optional. We will slice the onions thinly. You can also add potatoes and vegetables, but I want to keep it simple today. If you're adding this, add the potatoes halfway through cooking and the greens at the end. My meat has marinated for an hour. Let's start cooking. I'm using a Dutch oven, but you can use any heavy bottom pot. You can also use a pressure cooker. In India, pressure cooker is the most common method. It will reduce your cooking time by 30 to 40 minutes. Also tenderize the meat really fast. Slow cooker is also a good option if you have time. Heat up the pan, keep the heat on high. Once the pan is hot, add 3 tablespoons of oil. You can use any oil of your choice. Once the oil is hot, add the bay leaves. Fry them for a few seconds. Add the sugar. Let it caramelize. It will give a nice, beautiful color to your gravy. My sugar is already caramelized. Let's add the onions. Mix them well. Now you know the drill. Fry the onion till they're golden brown. It will take 10 to 15 minutes. My onions are looking ready. They're nice and brown. Now we will reduce the heat to low and add the turmeric powder and the chili powder. Fry for a few seconds. If you think that the pan is really hot and is burning your spices, add a splash of water. And if you want to use tomatoes, use at this stage. Now add the marinated meat. Increase the heat to high. Mix them well. Cover and let it cook for 10 minutes. We want the meat to release its juices. It's been 10 minutes. Let's open the lid. Increase the heat to medium. Fry it till the oil separates. This will take around 10 minutes. Keep stirring them. You can see the liquids has dried up and the oil has started to separate. We'll keep frying this. The more you fry, more flavor will develop. After 10 minutes, add some hot water. You can adjust the water based on how much gravy you need. I'm adding 3 cups of hot water. Make sure to add hot water. Adding cold water will make the meat chewy. Check for seasoning and adjust if needed. I'm adding another 1.5 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to finish this in the oven. Preheat the oven to 160 degrees Celsius. Depending on your meat, it will take approximately 1 hour. You can also completely cook it on the stove top. If you're cooking on a stove top, it will take approximately 2 hours. If you're using a pressure cooker, it can take up to 45 minutes or 5 to 6 whistles. Cover and let it cook till the meat is tender. I'm using the oven because I think it cooks evenly and it takes less time. It's been more than an hour and my goat curry is ready. Grate some nutmeg over the top. You can see the oil is floating on the top. It got this beautiful, gorgeous color. My gravy is thick and it's looking delicious. My goat curry came out really well. It's looking delicious, so let's give it a try. The meat is falling apart. It's so tender. Wow, the meat is tender, melt in your mouth, delicious. There is a hint of spiciness and sweetness at the same time. The gravy is rich, savory and delicious. Goat curry is very popular in India and this was our go-to weekend meal. This curry will taste great with some rice, naan or bread. There are many variations of goat curry, but I have given you a simple, easy recipe to follow. This curry always tastes better next day, so you can also prepare this in advance. Whatever method you're using to cook this, always check for tenderness because the cooking time will vary based on the quality of the goat meat. Give this dish a try, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Please like, share and subscribe, and see you in the next video.